If you're watching this, and it feels like I'm speaking directly to your soul, then maybe you've always known you were meant to hear this. Stick with me, and by the end, you'll know why this message was meant for you. But if this feels off or confusing, that's okay too. Not everyone is ready for what I'm about to share, but if you feel even a hint of recognition, then keep listening. Have you ever felt like an outsider, even around family? Like you're watching life from the sidelines, noticing things others don't? Growing up, there might have been this sense that you were somehow set apart. At family gatherings or in school, you probably had moments where it felt like everyone else was on the same wavelength, but yours was just different. You might have asked yourself, why don't I fit in here? You might be the type who felt out of sync with others, even in simple ways. Maybe your interests didn't align with those around you. Your style, your way of being, none of it seemed to follow the norm. You could have been called strange or different for simply being yourself. If you felt that way, this message is for you. You are unique, and that's more meaningful than you might realize. You've always been someone who chooses their own path. While others are drawn to the latest trends or influences, you instinctively know what feels right for you, even if it doesn't line up with popular culture. Perhaps you've even felt pressure to conform, yet something inside you resisted. That's your inner self refusing to blend into the background. You were meant to stand out, even when it's difficult. And people may have noticed this about you. They might have assumed you were standoffish, self-absorbed, or uninterested in connecting with others. But it's not that. You simply think differently. Your inner world is rich and unique, and sometimes that can be hard for others to understand. Maybe you've always dressed, spoken, or acted in a way that defied expectation. You have your own style, your own rhythm, and even if others don't understand it, you keep being yourself. Some might label you as difficult, or think you're trying to be different just to stand out. But the truth is, you've always been this way. You don't need to try. You've known you're different for a long time, and as much as society tries to mold you into something else, you resist. There's strength in holding on to your individuality, even when it makes you feel alone. Maybe you notice details that others overlook. You see patterns, colors, and energies in a way that's unique to you. Small things others pass by catch your eye and linger in your mind. You understand how a room's energy shifts, how spaces feel, and you might even be sensitive to environments that others breeze through. This perception makes you more aware, more insightful, and sometimes even more guarded. You're careful with whom you share this part of yourself, knowing that not everyone sees the world the way you do. At work or in social settings, you might sense a disconnect. You're aware when something doesn't feel right, and you don't need much time to recognize who genuinely connects with you and who doesn't. Small talk or shallow interactions rarely satisfy you because you crave substance. You prefer conversations with depth, thoughts that matter, and people who understand there's more to life than what's on the surface. Being authentic in a world that values conformity isn't easy. If you felt this pressure, you're not alone. But let me tell you, staying true to yourself in a world that constantly judges and tries to shape you into something else takes courage. It's tempting to conform for the sake of peace or acceptance, but you have a purpose that demands authenticity. It asks you to be brave enough to live in your truth, even if others don't get it. You've probably felt like an outsider at times, like the only one in the room with a different perspective. You might notice the things others ignore, sense energy that others can't, or see beauty where others don't. That's because you're tuned in to something deeper. It's not always comfortable, but it's a gift. And while it may set you apart, it's also what makes you special. Your mind is full of ideas and thoughts that challenge conventional thinking. You're drawn to knowledge, to exploring things that others might consider strange or irrelevant. You might be interested in the mysteries of the universe, the intricacies of technology, or the patterns in nature. These are things that many people overlook, but they're meaningful to you. Embrace that curiosity. It's not for everyone to understand, but it's for you to cherish. You may have noticed that your personality has layers. Some days you're introspective, focused, and serious, while other days you're full of humor and lightness. You shift between these sides effortlessly because you contain multitudes. And that's why people find it hard to pin you down. You're not one-dimensional. This diversity within you is rare and beautiful, even if it's misunderstood. Your intelligence, your unique view, and your unwavering sense of self can make others uncomfortable. They might try to fit you into a box that makes sense to them, but it never works because you're not made to fit into anyone's mold. Sometimes people label you as unusual or eccentric, but that's only because they don't see the world as you do. If they could step into your mind for a day, they might understand. Until then, remember that your uniqueness isn't a flaw, it's a strength. Even the little things, like keeping your space orderly or valuing certain routines, reflect who you are. You appreciate clarity and peace, which may set you apart from those around you. Some might call you particular, but it's not about being difficult. It's about creating a life that aligns with your inner self. You're not here to live up to anyone else's expectations. You're here to live as the truest version of yourself. Maybe you enjoy spending time alone or find peace in solitude. It's not that you don't appreciate others, it's that you find comfort and inspiration within yourself. When others choose one path, you're not afraid to explore another, even if it leads to uncharted territory. You know there's more to life than fitting in or pleasing others, and you're not afraid to seek it, even if that makes you different. You've probably found joy in the simplest acts of self-expression, like dressing a certain way, decorating your space, or spending time in nature. People might not understand why you do what you do, but you don't need their approval. You're not defined by the opinions of others, and you're not chasing validation. You're here to create a life that feels true to you. This world often pressures us to conform, but you're living proof that there's another way. You're choosing to live authentically, embracing who you are, and that's a rare gift. Not everyone will understand your journey, and that's okay. You don't need everyone to understand. You just need to remember who you are. So if this message resonates with you, keep it close. Remember that it's okay to walk a different path. Share this with someone who might need the reminder, and keep embracing the beauty of being unapologetically yourself.